The day I told my boyfriend I was pregnant, he held my hand and said, "We'll get through this together." 3 days later, he blocked my number and disappeared. My name is Emma. When I started my first year at university, I believed I had my whole life planned out. Graduate with honors, find a good job, make my parents proud. Falling in love was never part of the plan. Then I met Jason. He sat behind me in our economics class. He was funny, confident, and always made everyone laugh. One day he asked if I wanted to study together before our exams. That one study session turned into another. Soon we were having coffee after class, then dinner, then long walks across campus. Within a few months, we were inseparable. Jason always told me, "You're the girl I'm going to marry one day." I believed him. My parents didn't know I was dating anyone. They were strict. They wanted me to focus only on my education, so I kept the relationship a secret. Almost a year later, everything changed. I started feeling tired all the time. I couldn't concentrate in class. One morning, I fainted during a lecture. A friend insisted on taking me to a clinic. The doctor looked at me gently and said, "Emma, you're pregnant." My world stopped. I stared at the floor. I couldn't even speak. That evening, I told Jason. He looked shocked. For several minutes, he said nothing. Then he hugged me tightly. "Don't worry," he whispered. "We'll face this together." For the first time that day, I felt hopeful, but hope can disappear very quickly. 3 days later, Jason stopped answering my calls. His phone was switched off. He didn't come to class. His roommates told me he had moved back to his hometown. Without telling anyone, he had blocked me everywhere. I sat outside the university library for hours, waiting for someone who was never coming back. I still hadn't told my parents. I kept thinking maybe Jason would return. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he just needed time. But secrets never stay hidden forever. A few weeks later, my mother found the medical report in my backpack. She looked at me in disbelief. My father didn't say a single word. The silence hurt more than shouting. When I admitted the truth, everything fell apart. My father told me I had brought shame to the family. My mother cried all night. The next morning, my suitcase was waiting by the front door. My father looked at me and said, "You made your choice. Now you have to live with it." I begged them to listen. I promised I would finish university. I promised I would work. But nothing changed. The door closed behind me, and for the first time in my life, I had nowhere to go. A friend from university, Mia, let me stay on her couch. She worked part-time at a cafe and helped me find a small job there. It wasn't easy. Some days I cried in the cafe bathroom before starting my shift. Some nights I wondered if my life would ever get better. Still, I refused to give up. Months later, my daughter was born. The first time I held her, I realized she wasn't the reason my life had become difficult. She was the reason I had to keep moving forward. I named her Grace, because even after losing almost everything, she reminded me there was still hope. 2 years passed. I finished my degree by studying at night. I found a better job. Slowly, life became stable again. Then, one afternoon, as I was leaving work, someone called my name. I turned around. It was Jason. He looked older, tired. He quietly said, "Can we talk?" I looked at him for a long moment. He admitted he had been afraid. His parents had pressured him to leave. He said running away was the biggest mistake of his life. Then he asked, "Can I meet my daughter?" I took a deep breath. "Being a father isn't just about biology," I said. "It's about showing up, and when we needed you most, you chose to disappear." I walked away, not because I hated him, but because I had spent 2 years rebuilding a life he had abandoned. A few months later, my parents contacted me. They asked if we could meet. My father apologized with tears in his eyes. He admitted that anger had blinded him. Seeing his granddaughter changed something inside him. Forgiveness didn't happen overnight, but little by little, we became a family again. Today, Grace is the happiest part of my life. When she smiles, I don't think about the people who left. I think about the people who stayed. Life taught me something I will never forget. The people who promise to stay forever sometimes leave first, and sometimes the person you discover is strongest is yourself. The end.